to another premium video. We're going to be talking about defensive options in premium. A lot of people tend to complain a little bit about premium being a no guard format, or there is no counterplay, you get insta-killed. But I'll tell you for a fact that there is actually a whole lot of defensive options, especially if you're going first or if you're going second, or if the game is going as slow as possible, especially if you're maintaining and controlling the amount of damage that you give to your opponent. You can do some really nifty tricks, and I'll be able to hopefully teach you some of them from the ones that have been used against me, and ones have been some of my friends have been able to explain to me. Some mains of these clans have told me some of these ones. If you also know any cool little defensive options that you know in premium that can help out some newer players, put that in the defense in the comment section below. You know, help the community learn a little bit more about premium, not to be too scared of it, getting their toes wet, and hopefully they get to like the clans that are played in this form. Starting off with Great Raging right now, you do have the Gguard option of combination of Almirage, Isabel, and Mary Martin. So with Almirage's skill in Gguard, so pitching heal to guard with, so Soul Blasting 1. When this unit is placed in Guardian Circle, you can pay the cost, choose up to 2 cards from your hand, call them to rear guard to separate rear guard circle, choose up to 4 of your rear guards until end of turn. They get resist and they cannot get retired if they get hit. Then in combination with Isabel being your grade 3, which also says continuous. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you perform both of the effects for perform one of the effects. So then you get both effects. So this also synergizes really well with Daring Scientist Mary Martin, who has a skill of when placed, if you place it from your hand with Almirage, it kind of counts. Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. So in combination of everything, you're using 2 Soul plus 1 CB. You perform one of these effects, so actually you perform both of these effects because of your Isabel, and your opponent cannot intercept until end of turn. Doesn't really matter. And the one that's most important is retire all of your opponent's rear guard in the same column as this unit. This also gets around resist, or units that are acting like resist, because it chooses the column, it does not choose the rear guards themselves. And now we have Garo, actually. It's been one of the clans that I predominantly play a whole lot. And we have Flame Wing Steel Beast Denal Griffin. Very simple skill, pitch to heal. Guardian Circle, cost Counterblast 1, choose one of your opponent's attacking rear guards and retire it. It is super simple to get rid of your opponent's attacking rear guards, but sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes you think to yourself, I'm still getting booty blasted by a whole lot of GB8 players or a whole lot of cards that can you know, multi-attack me, hit me with a Megiddo. Now, you have also another option that can extend the combo a little bit. You have Hulk Roar Dragon, and you also have Flame Energy Aeothonic, which can give you a little bit more defensive leverage. This is more or less predominantly played in the Overlord. You also have access to Lizard Soldier Belloc if you play Blade Masters as well. Now, if your opponent's probably going to go for a stand trigger or something, you can Denal Griffin and Belloc or something. Your opponent attack one, attack the second lane, Denal Griffin the other one, guard with it with Belloc, and then retire the other one that's rested. So you have a whole lot of reach. And then you also have Hulk Roar, which is also pretty nifty. He has an auto ability, so Counterblast 2. It's pretty steep, so you need to have, like, you know, 3 open CB, more or less, 3 to 4, or maybe like 2 at a minimum if you have Belloc up, which is kind of nice too as well. So you can like hard guard for like 20k shield and retire it, and then use Hulk Roar to retire the other one, which is kind of cool. It's pretty nifty. And then you can pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. So then you can retire another unit the opponent's going to probably try to booty blast you with. So then you can protect yourself, which is kind of nice. Then we have the Flame Energy Aeotonic. How does this come into play? Is due to the fact that on rear guard circle, auto, put it into your soul. When your opponent's rear guard is put into the drop zone, choose the effect of one of your cards. You pay the cost. If you do, choose up to 2 of your damage and turn them face up. So you get the counter charge 2, so you can use the Hulk Roar Dragon multiple times in a turn. Since it's an auto ability, it's retired. It's go to the drop zone due to one of your effects, so you can counterblast through, retire, put it into your soul, retire again. So you can kind of get rid of a whole lot of problematic cards your opponent could probably put against you, and you can kind of defend yourself a little bit. This is a 9k unit. It's a 9k unit, so you want to be careful, especially in the Force Clan that you're playing a whole bunch of 10ks. You might get rushed down in an early game, especially if you're going second. This is a better going Force card, and you need to have setup for it. So like, of course, this is not perfect. You know, the card game and premium itself is not perfect, but this hopefully can give you guys some hope of not thinking that if you play a clan or if you play a deck that you get insta-gibbed and you instantly die. This hopefully gives you an insight of some of the cards that you can use for your clans. So let's move on to Gear Chronicle. So with Gear Chronicle's defensive options, it actually synergizes a whole lot with Gear Cat. And you have 2 options that you can play. So if you play Chronojet, you have Header Around Dragon, which can be actually pretty disruptive. It has Soul Blast 1. When this unit is placed to Guardian Circle, if you have a Vanguard with Chronojet in its name, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your opponent's rear guards. Your opponent returns that unit to the deck, shuffles it, and then reveals the top of the deck and it calls it. Looks at top card and calls it, because then they can choose where they want it placed. So maybe they can give it as a booster for their Vanguard or something, depending on their attack pattern, their attack order. I remember that this card used to be actually at 1 for some time, and now it's currently unrestricted. So now it gives Gears a whole lot of playability into a lot of very aggressive clans that you can kind of disrupt their turns by doing some really nice stuff. And you now have Interdimensional Beast Pandora Chimera, which is a CB. It has Counterblast 1. Put its unit, when its unit is placed on Guardian Circle, you pay the cost. If you do, your opponent chooses a unit from his or her back row and puts it to the bottom of the deck, so permanently getting rid of it. But those 2 cards, even as disruptive as they can be, oftentimes doesn't really stop your opponent for the turn. But you do have access to Vainglory Dream Gear Cat, which is once per turn. But it's per Gear Cat, so if you have multiple Gear Cats on the board, you can resolve both of them. You can resolve each of them in order. When your opponent's rear guard is put to the bottom, put it into his deck. Due to an effect of one of your cards, choose one of your other units, and you may have it gain plus 10k power until end of turn. And if you do, return this to your deck and shuffle your deck. It's a really good card. It gives you some really good defensive options. There are some versions of Chronojet that plays like 2 copies of this card. It's really, really nice. It can make your defensive turns like 33k power, especially if you're playing like 5k triggers. It gives you a defensive trigger bonus, which actually makes it harder for your opponent to hit over, especially if they're trying to go for a KO on you, which is nice. So hopefully it gave you some ideas as to what you could probably use in some of your potential Gear Chronicle decks. There's some other clans that also has access to cards like this, similarly. But this is one of the very few that you can actually disrupt your opponent and also get an defensive bonus to protect yourself against your opponent. So this is really, really nice. And now we have Grand Blue, Great Witch Doctor of the Banquets Negro Lily. She is a G Guardian. Auto, Counterblast 1. Choose one of your rear guards and retire it. This unit, when this unit gets placed on Guardian Circle, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your one normal unit with Ghosty in its card name from your drop zone. Call it to open rear guard circle. This turn, and this unit gets plus 10k shield until the end of that battle. So it becomes 25k shield. But what could be pretty sick about this is that you can actually get a Denial Griffin off before your opponent's rear guard attacks. Because here we'll take a look at Ghosty Leader Beatrice, that's actually coming out in Clan Selection Volume 1. It has a Vanguard Circle, Rear Guard Circle. When placed, cost Soul Blast 1, call a card not game named Ghosty Leader Beatrice from your drop zone to Rear Guard Circle. That's the most important part. The rest of it we don't need to read. That's not relevant. The relevant part is with Skeleton Cannoneer that came out in like set GPT 6 or something, so a couple years ago, has Hollow. When this is placed on rearguard circle, you may have it become hollowed. If you do, retire it at the end of turn. So who's ever turn gets retired at the end of it. GB1. Counterblast 1. When this unit is placed on rearguard circle, from your drop zone, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your opponent's rearguards, retire it, and this unit is hollowed, you draw a card. So, for a combination of 2 CB, you get a free unit on board, you get an interceptor for the turn, and you get to draw a card. So you basically refresh almost all of the disadvantages that you lost on, and you prevented yourself from dying that turn. Nice. That's pretty good. Here is the honorable mention. This doesn't really use a Gguard combo for it, but I still wanted to kind of like talk about this one because it is a pretty good defensive option that if you are playing the Fenrir as your main Vanguard and you're also playing Vanagander, there is sort of like an in-between card that you can use as a sort of like defensive combo that you can use against, depending on what kind of matchup you're playing against. So you have Secret Elise. So her skill reads Continuous Sentinel. So of course she takes up a Sentinel slot. So you might have to like play less draw triggers, or depends on where you want to use your draw triggers to your stand triggers and whatever ratio that you want to use to defend yourself. When this unit is placed on your Guardian Circle, from your hand during the battle that your Vanguard is attacked, choose any number of cards from your soul, put them into your drop zone, call the same number of cards as the number of cards put in your drop zone from the top of your deck to the Guardian Circle. So, this guy, this madam, combines with Mystic Beast Fenrir really well. So I'll read the whole skill. Well, actually, except for like the last one. The last one is not that relevant. No, it's not that relevant, no. Alright, so it has an act skill, once per turn. Cost, Soul Blast 1 or more cards. Search your deck for up to 1 card with the same grade as the sum of the grades of the cards Soul Blasted for cost. Reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle your deck, call a card from your hand, and call a card from your hand to rearguard circle. So you can actually search for Secret Elise. You can search for Secret Elise the turn before or a couple turns before out of your deck, add it to your hand, and you basically have a defensive setup going first against your opponent. It's awesome. It's super awesome because it's actually very important here too. Auto. Vanguard Circle, once per turn, when a card is put in from your soul into your drop zone. Cost, Counterblast 1, call up to one of those cards to your rearguard circle. Very, very, very important. Because of Mythical Destroyer Beast Vanagander, its skill reads, Auto, Vanguard Circle, rearguard circle. When placed, cost, Soul Blast 1, choose one of your opponent's rearguards and retire it. If it's on your Vanguard Circle, choose all of your opponent's rearguards instead of one rearguard. So, 1 + 1 is 2. If you have a Vanagander in your soul, you guard with Elise. Elise Soul Blast the Vanagander. Use CB1 to call back the Vanagander. And the Vanagander will Soul Blast again to retire something from your opponent that's attacking. So you have a defensive option, and you toolboxed it really easily. And now we have the last one I wanted to discuss. We have Jester, Dominic Dragon, Wandering Dragon. It is a Pale Moon Gguard. It's a generic Gguard. You pay the same cost as you do normally. When it's placed on Guardian Circle, Soul Charge 1. Choose a card from your soul, call it to Guardian Circle. So in this situation, so if you strode before, you Gguarded before, and then you use Lovely Companion, it has Magia, Auto, Generation Break 2. Soul Blast 1. When this unit is retired from the Guardian Circle, if you have a Vanguard with hiring in its card name, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose a grade 2 from your soul, call it to Rearguard Circle. At the end of that turn, put that unit into your soul. So that also combines with Flying Peryton. Flying Peryton has a skill, Magia, Auto, Generation Break 1. When its unit is placed on your Rearguard Circle, Soul Charge 1, choose up to 1 card from your soul, call it to Rearguard Circle. In the same column as this unit, at the end of that turn, put the called unit with this effect into your soul. And then it combines into Eventually, after all this combination here, it goes into Tricky Assistant. And then with Tricky Assistant, auto, Vanguard Circle, Rearguard Circle, Gun Blast 1. Choose up to one of you and your opponent's rear guards each. Put it into your soul. If 2 cards were put, this gets plus 10k power until end of turn. And that's it. So you're gonna have access to a whole lot of these tools too. So, you know, don't be scared to get your feet wet to play the game, to get interested in learning how a whole lot of these combinations work. If there's any other things you guys want to learn about the game in terms of either guarding patterns or particular cards and matchups you probably want to learn to play against, or how to counter, you know, how to play, you know, series, or how to play against series. If you like the content that we're doing here, you can be sure to subscribe. And if you want me to make more content like this with the help of our awesome, you know, clan mains, a lot of these I knew offhand by playing against a whole lot of really good players in our Discord. You can go over to our Discord. It's gonna be in the description below. Be sure to join it. If you like the content, subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Be awesome, stay awesome, guys. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.